Season 4 of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship now. Starting in the Phoenix, which was the GT2 car for round 3. And we got 29 more cars to go through on Blaine County 24-hour short circuit. This video is brought to you by Broughy.com/support. Head to that link for all sorts of information on how you can support my channel, from links for direct support to referral codes, and even an article on things you can do to help your favourite creators. And away we go. So we had 10 rounds for Season 4. I was mistaken at the end of the round 3 race. Or round 2 race, whichever one it was. So we got 30 cars to go through. All used in Season 4 of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship. Season 5 would move to 8 rounds, so this will be the last one where it's 30 cars. And Season 4 was where I got my last MCEC victory, so I'm looking forward to getting the car that I got that with. And there's a wide variety of cars in this one. Doing Blaine County 24 hours short. Which only leaves one circuit left of the 5 usual suspects for the Season 5 race. I'm just trying to make it through this first lap safely, to be honest, because there's a lot of cars. 43 isn't as many as we had it for the Season 3 race, but it's still a lot of cars on a short track. Whee! So like I said, starting in the Phoenix, round 3, Muscle. That was on a platform-specific track. It was Season 4 where we had some different tracks for each platform. And we'll never do that again. Season 5 was so much better when we got the tracks remade on the platforms. Alright, Turismo Classic. Something that I didn't like realize or appreciate is that we didn't have Sports Classics in the first couple of seasons of MCEC. Sports Classics was in round 6 for Season 4. Turismo Classic was the GT1 car. We had it, I think we run the exact same cars again for Season 5. Because that's kind of what Season 5 was like. Sort of paying homage to some of the more popular rounds in previous seasons and things that worked well. It was the same track as well, yeah. It was an exact copy in Season 5 to Season 4 for the Sports Classics round. But yeah, I think it was Season 3 that we introduced Sports Classics. Like, crazy that we didn't have it for Season 1 or 2. Alright, Spectre Custom. This was the Race Cars Sports round for round 9 on LSGP. We had quite a few interesting classes, and I wasn't too happy with how Season 4 went in terms of the class allocation. I much preferred some of the other seasons where you're literally using as many different classes as possible. There was a lot of repeats for Season 4, just with a slightly different bent on it. Like, we did 2 sports car rounds, we did 2 muscle car rounds, 2 sports classic rounds, but it was like regular sports classics and then race cars sports classics, regular sports and then race cars sports, race car muscle. We lost a bit of variety with that, I think. To be fair, even Season 2 had like Sports A and B and stuff like that, so. And then Season 3 had like Supers, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive and whatnot. I think Season 5 got that better. Alright, Nero Custom. This was the Race Cars Supers round. GT1 car for round 10 on the North Loop. But we'd previously done Supers, just standard Supers, for round 1. So Yeah, the car selection, I'm not, looking back, I'm not as happy with the car selection for Season 4 as I could have been. We had interesting cars, just not as much variety in classes as I would have liked. But to be fair, I suppose at that point, maybe it was a symptom of, you know, we were doing the 4th season of this. We didn't have that many new cars in a lot of classes, you know, SUVs and sedans, coupes. It's not as if they were getting a bunch of DLC cars like we've had in more recent times. So maybe it was a symptom of that. And we had, you know, sports and supers were getting all the DLC cars, so we needed to just do more things from those classes. Alright, Picador. This was round 3. Again, just like the Phoenix, this was a GT3 car for that round. I've had a good start, but I've had some good cars. So, you know, I will get the slow cars later on, as always. 30 laps, 30 cars, it all comes together at the end. Everybody gets the same cars by the end of the race, just in a different order. At this point, it had been 3 years since Season 1. We really packed them in for Seasons 1 to 4. Season 5 was... I mean, Season 4 was still 2017. We didn't do Season 5 until 2020. And then it's been another 6 years until Season 6. We really packed in those first 4 seasons. That's probably why I went all over the place with the class choices. It was a symptom of all the DLC cars getting added to those classes. Nothing will ever beat Vans on Rotten. The Retinue, round 7, GT2 car. The only race that I've disconnected from in the MCEC. Season 4 was a nightmare for me, race-wise. I was only doing one platform, so it was an improvement on Season 3 in that respect. And I was still competitive, unlike Season 5 where I wasn't really competitive. I was still competitive in Season 4, but I think Season 4 has the most amount of PTSD, because I just made too many errors. There's one race in particular that I'm really not looking forward to driving the car on again. But I'll talk about that when we get to it. But I actually had a decent race in the Retinue, I think, but then I got disconnected. Ironically, still not your worst result of the season. Oh, really? I didn't realise that, like... Yeah, I was pretty on pace in the Retinue. I was having a good race. But that was really where I kind of lost the chance to win the championship. No, it's not true. There was so many silly mistakes from myself in some of the other rounds where I lost the chance. I was in the championship fight, but too many mistakes. Piss was a Dominator. This was round 8 on Ron Raceway. This was the GT1 car, though. This was the round of my final victory, but I'll talk more about that when I get the car that I actually drove. The Retinue, I was classified 5th, round 9, you were 6th. That's what I mean, I feel like I never had too many, like, awful results. In terms of, like, if 6th place was my worst result, and, you know, we had dropped scores and stuff anyway, that wasn't too bad. But it was the high placing results that I gave up. Like, I had potential to win races and I made mistakes, and that was what cost me the championship. This was a Dominator, what a classic. It's always been a Dominator in every season. The Z-Type, this was the GT2 car for the Sports Classic round. Still can't believe it took us so long to do Sports Classic MCEC races. It was the season 5 race, wasn't it? Where I dropped out of this one. It was the season 4 race where I... Oh, this was the one where I forgot to make the pit stop. But I still finished 3rd because everybody else was off the lead lap, or the same lap that we were on. So I got the massive penalty for forgetting to do my 2nd pit stop. But because everybody was a lap down behind me, I still finished 3rd. But again, this was another race where I was in the fight for the win. And a silly mistake that wasn't missing the pit stop. I think if I hadn't made the mistake that I'm talking about, I would have made the pit stop fine. It was that threw me off. But I made a mistake on in one of the races and in one of the corners, and that cost me the chance of winning the race. And it was little things like that, having a 3rd instead of a 1st, or could have been a 1st. Right, the Rusty Rebel GT3 car for the off-road race. That was round 4. It's amazing how vivid my memory is of season 4 and how little I remembered from season 3 and, well, 2 I remembered a bit about, but like, it's the PTSD. You remember all the negatives a lot more than the positives. Like, I couldn't remember half of the races that I did well in season 3. But I can remember all of the nightmarish moments that I had in season 4. Less to remember, I suppose, for season 4. Because I was only doing 1 championship rather than all 3 of them. Elegy Retro Custom. This was also the race car sports round 9 on Los Santos GP. GT1 car for this one. I know I had some bad races, but I think I've erased all the memory of round 9. That was obviously my worst result, but I don't remember why. I don't remember anything about it. I always have a bit of a bogey race on LSGP towards the end of the season. I think it's the only track of mine. No, I've won it on it in one of the early seasons, but I don't know that. I think season 3, 4 and 5 I always had a bad race at the end of the season, round 9 on LSGP. Became a bit of a bogey track. X80 Proto, the GT1 car for round 1 on Blaine County 24 hours. That was just standard supercars. Not race car supercars. I'm going to make an announcement on lap 15. No, at the start of lap 16. Halfway through the race. So get ready. I'm going to keep you waiting until then now. Season 3, round 9, you were 3rd, 2nd and 1st, so not a bad round to... Oh, maybe it's just season 4 and season 5 that's clouding my judgment. Rapid GT Classic. This was Race Cars Sports Classics. Round 7. I was clutching at straws a little bit, I think, with some of these class allocations. We had race cars in all the final rounds. So we'd done Sports Classics Standard in round 6, and then we went straight to Race Cars Sports Classics, then Race Cars Muscle, then Race Cars Sports, then Race Cars Super. It's a bright bumper. Traffic is playing a part now. The Bifter, the GT1 car for the off-roads class. Round 4. We just need the GT2 car now to complete the set for off-roads. Thought I could maybe use a bit of the dirt a bit more, but no dice. Looks like I'm in a top 10 fight, but we'll see. This is where the order is at its most spread out. All the people who have had the faster cars in the early stages will start getting the slower cars and vice versa. I feel like I've had quite good luck in these early stages. I might start getting slower cars on average more in the second half. Might be in a bit of trouble, but we'll see. The Vaca, round 1, Supers, Blaine County 24 hours. We had the X80 Proto GT1, the Vaca was GT2. This is what I raced with. I won the race, did I not? Yeah, I thought I did. I had such a good start to the season, that was the problem. I clearly had pace to do well in GT2 in Season 4. I had a really good race in the Vaca. But then it just capitulated with silly mistakes. I had good pace in most of the races, but just silly mistakes meant I didn't get the wins when I should have. And I ended up getting thirds, fourths instead of wins and seconds. If you want to win a championship, you need victories, really. But it was nice to kick off the season with a win. Best year GTS. GT1 car for sports round 5. Don't remember much about this, if I'm honest. What was the GT2 car? The Alpha. I don't remember anything about that race. Did I do it? The Alpha? I got no recollection of that. It was on one of the platform-specific tracks, so it would have been different on each platform where it was raced. Was it on Gronenheim? Finished 5th. I don't think it was a great one for me, at least. Probably a repressed memory here. Alright, we're coming up to the start of lap 16. Are you ready? Are you ready for the news? We've got MCEC enamel pins! Okay, it's not going to focus. Get them on store.bruffy.com. The latest in the enamel pin collection to go along with the G-Fred logo, to go along with the Bruffy Love emote, the MCEC logo, just in time for Season 6 coming back. it was a very late idea I had actually to get them, and I'm glad I've managed to get them done in time. But I'm sure DiNmiTe will put some better footage on there on the screen. The ACEA, by the way, was the GT3 car for round 2 on Olympic GP in sedans. But yeah, you can get them now. And obviously, when the MCEC starts, they're going to be consistently available until they run out. Limited number like all the other pins. But they look really good. I couldn't really show you properly live on the camera. It's difficult to get it to focus on something so small, but they look really good. Mamba GT3 car for round 7 in race cars sports classics. But you can get them in a bundle as well now. So if you haven't gotten any of the enamel pins, if you go to store.briffy.com and just click on the enamel pins section of the website, you can get all of them together for cheaper than it would be to get all 3 of them separately. And very Briffy 1322 price of $13.22 for all 3 of them, or $4.99 separately. And you can order, as always is the case with the pins, if you add an extra donation at the checkout of any amount, I'll include my autograph with the because they're being sent directly from me. You can be on a black Twitch card with silver pen this time. And you can order as many as you want and pay the same postage. So you can get 2 sets of bundles and an extra G-Fred pin, and it will all cost you the same in postage as it would for just getting a single MCEC pin. Shafter V12 GT. Whoa, sorry about that. Mr. braking way too late there. Now he's having issues in the Mamba. GT1 car for round 2 sedans. We just had the ACEA not too long ago. I don't think I've completed a set yet. Yeah, that was my fault. I was looking at the list, the MCEC spreadsheet, to see where this Shafter V12 was used. The Mamba was a very challenging car to give to a GT3 field, to be fair. Yeah, check it out, store.briffy.com. You can get the bundle, or you can get the MCEC pin on its own. Alright, the Redwood Gauntlet. This was the car that I got my last ever MCEC victory. Round 8 on Ron Raceway. We obviously saw the Pisswasser Dominator. Hey, Salaja got a MCEC pin. Thank you very much. And I absolutely dominated this race. I think I was just sick at this point. I'd had so many bad races in all the previous ones where I've had potential wins that I've just thrown away. That I knew Ron was a good track for me. I knew this car would be a decent car for me around that track. So I really practiced hard. I've actually got a lap time of it up on random bits because I was setting a good lap. Like I was doing, and I drove away and I never looked back. It's probably my most dominant MCEC performance ever, and it was the last one I would ever get. On the 19th of November 2017 on Ron Raceway in the Redwood Gauntlet. Got another fact about that round, but we'll wait until we get the GT3 car for it to complete the set. Sultan RS. This was the GT3 car for the race cars Supers round 10. I remember being in my car, the Italy GTB Custom for that race. I flipped it multiple times, I think. It was a very up and down race. Everybody in that race seemed to have issues. In GT2 at least. Alright, I'm still in the top 10. The ACM must have been the slowest GT3 car, I think. So at least I've got that out of the way. Alright, the Stinger. This was the GT3 car for the Sport Classics. That's completed the set for Sport Classics now. I think, round 6. Taken us a while to get a complete set, I think. Longer than some of the other races. It was a great re-entry. Good job he didn't take me out. This is the fight over the top 10. Could it end up being a top 5 depending on if people in front have slower cars still to get? Maybe. Alright, Ruiner. This was our GT1 car? Yeah, for muscle. Interesting. Thank you very much, Matty H, for getting an MCEC pin. Beautiful. Yeah, so that was one thing that having the same class repeated multiple times allowed us to do. Like, we'd always had the Dominator as the GT1 car for muscle races in previous seasons. And that's because it was always the fastest. And we had that for the race cars muscle round for this season with the Pisposa Dominator. But having another muscle car round allowed us to have a different GT1 car this time with the Ruiner, while still having the fastest muscle car in the other one. That cost me quite a few positions. That's unfortunate, and a lot of time, and now I'm in the pack in the mess. That's an interesting line. Alright, Fugitive. This is completing the sedans set as well. This was the GT2 car. This is going to be a bit of a slow lap, I think. I've fallen outside of the top 10 after these last few laps. A lot of traffic as well. A lot of back markers that we're having to work our way through. Finished on the podium in this, really? That was Olympic. Again, it was always the feeling that I could have done better, I think. Like, that was a podium, but I probably felt like I should have either got a first or a second. Based on my pace, and I've just made silly mistakes and stuff like that. That was the story of Season 4. Well, this is where the fight is. I'm in a fight for a top 10. Which, to be fair, is pretty good considering I started quite close to the back. I was definitely outside of the top 30. Ruston, GT3 car for sports. Still waiting for the Alpha to complete that set. Well, maybe I can make up a few places in this. I feel like I've been quicker than all in R3 the entire way through the race, and I keep ending up behind. I'm hoping that's just car selection and he's got some slower cars to go, but when we've been in the same car I've been quicker. I keep passing him and then just getting past again, like can't get away. I've turned him around. Go, he said go. It still cost me time though. Traffic has been a problem in this last phase of the race. Tally GTB Custom. This was the last car I raced in Season 4. We've completed the race cars supers set. Round 10 North Loop.
He's a scumbag! He's an absolute
I had some
scumbag.
crazy flips in this. I think I put it up as a highlights video on random bits, the crazy flips that I did and crashes that I had. And still finished on the podium. Again, having crazy crashes and issues. And still getting a decent result. What could have been if I'd actually not had bad moments. I think I've been in too many incidents at this point. It might have cost me a top 10. You never know, but I'm going to need some slower cars from people up in front. I've had decent pace in this race, but too many traffic issues and too many incidents. Alright, the Burger Shot Stallion completed the set for the race cars muscle class GT3 on Run Raceway. And this was the only round in MCEC history where a team has won in every single GT in the same race. Merfos won for Ron in the Pisswasser Dominator GT1. Dron Balls won in this for GT3 for Ron. And I obviously won, as I mentioned earlier, in the Redwood Gauntlet in GT2. Ron is the only team that's ever got a full 45 points from a single round in all 5 seasons. And I was part of that team that did that. That's my lasting memory of MCEC, probably. In my final victory in MCEC history was that. Thank you, Hammer, for getting an MCEC pin as well. So that's nice. Definitely my best win. I'm definitely in this fight for top 10. I'm half a second oh, the Dubster. Okay, this is the car that I was talking about early on with the significant PTSD. This one I really did have the pace to win the race. And I showed it multiple times during the race. This was obviously the GT2 car for the off-roads round. I had such good pace. And I made so many stupid errors, and I think this is truly where my championship unraveled. Round 4. This should have been a win. Yeah, this might be the most PTSD race I have from my own performance, possibly. I've had some capitulations on LSGP over the years, but in terms of like what could have been and what I should have had versus what I did, the Dubster was a really rough one. You were third in this race. And that's what I mean. I finished on the podium. So many races where I got a third or a fourth. But were really, really bad. Because it should have been a win. Alright, Voltic GT3 car for round 1 in the Supers class. Back on the lead lap with this as well. I remember Evil's overtake for the win on the final corner in GT3 on PS4. Well, it wasn't the final corner, it was the double right-hander at the end. This one. Ah, the top 10's still on. What have I got left? 2 more cars. I've still got the Alpha. That's going to be a decent lap. I have to finish ahead of... Oh, they're now 3. I've been so much faster all the way through. There we go, 10th. Top 10. Back in there with 2 laps to go. Thank you, Ivor, for getting a G-Fred logo premium t-shirt. I don't wear pins. Well, that's fine. There's the Alpha. What have I got left? This was obviously the GT2 car for the sports round. I don't know what I've got. I'm trying to look at the spreadsheet to figure it out. Surely I can recognize something that I haven't had yet. Oh, I know what it is. I've figured it out. The GT3 car for round 9. It'll be a decent lap. It's not going to set the world alight, but I think I've got enough of a gap to stay in this top 10. The Sprug Buffalo. The race cars sports round. GT3s in the Sprug Buffalo. Got a retinue in front and a retinue behind. I should be able to hold on, I think, to a top 10. Which, do you know what? Pretty happy with. Starting outside of the top 30 in a 43 player race, and to bring it home with a top 10, a gain of over 20 places with everybody having the same cars by the end, with a few small incidents. I'll see what the gap is to top 5, whether I could have got that without some of the weights I had to do. But there we go. I managed to hold on to it. 10th. Beautiful. That's not bad. I was... it was 20 odd seconds away from a top 5, so I don't think that was going to happen. Maybe without some of the incidents I could have gotten more squarely into the top 10. But I think a top 5 was unlikely, which makes sense, starting in 32nd, 33rd or whatever. Thanks for the GGs in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you to those who bought an MCEC pin. Maybe I can show it better now. There we go. I know it's still small, but like get the full set. G-Fred, Bruffy Love, and now MCEC pin to celebrate the start of the championship. Start.bruffy.com and check out the bundle to get them all 3 of them for cheaper if you haven't gotten any of them yet. And Hammer's just bought one for the chat. There you go, a gift. Anyone who's here for this race is going to get one of those pins courtesy of Hammer. Enter. Enter now. If you're watching this as a video, sorry, you're going to have to go to store.profi.com. There's more of the results. We'll only get to see down to 36 anyway, so DiNmiTe usually puts the rest of the results down there for everybody else. That's not bad. I'm not too happy. I'm not too unhappy with my race performance. I think I could have had better, but you know, I managed to keep it clean mostly. And you're always going to have some incidents when you're working your way through traffic and backmarkers and whatnot. So to get a top 10, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a decent one. On to season 5, and then it'll be season 6 live.